Hello everybody, it's me Farham. We're here with some Path of Exile 2, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Infernalist Minion SRS, built now around a medium budget, so looking at how we can do this on around 10 to 15 divines, getting the character really tanky so it can just walk through endgame content. Not going anything with CI, still going for the Mind Over Matter, Eldritch Battery tank combo, but putting a bit more investment in getting that physical resistance sorted out so that there's nothing really that can one-shot us in the super endgame content. I'm talking double corrupted, +2 maps. Really, nothing is touching this. Well, I mean, you can't stand in the huge attacks from the huge monsters. It's not that, but you can see those. They're well telegraphed. You're very unlikely to be going down to getting swarmed by little guys, though. You've got real control with this character. So, let's start off. We'll go over the gear, we'll go over what major pieces have changed, the sort of prices that we should be paying for those, and the primary stats that we should be looking at. Alright guys, let's start off talking about the things you will likely need to spend your divines and your exalted on. That's your gear and your skill gems. We'll start off with the gear, of course. There's a little bit of optionality here. You can bring the tank up a little bit more, and I will talk about that, and I'll talk about what you lose by doing that. But let's go around item by item. We'll talk about if there's upgrades possible to the item. There's always upgrades possible to the item, but we'll talk about the main stats you need to be looking for on each item. So first off, we've got the weapon. I haven't actually changed this since the last build guide, but you want to be looking for that increased spirit, maximum mana, allies in your presence deal increased damage, and minion skills. Allies in your presence deal increased damage, minion skills, and spirit are the most important. There's a few places you can get spirit, there's very few places you can get minion skills, and that allies in your presence deal damage is specific just to the weapon. That can actually roll quite high, and it does increase the damage by a lot, so this is a bit of a stretch item. There's a lot of divines you can invest, getting this up to +5 minion skills. I think up to about +79% increased damage, maybe more, and then you can get up to about 200 spirit on these things, but for that you're looking at about 3 times the investment of the current build at its current state. But an item about this, it's going to get you through the content. Your minions will be doing enough damage. See if you can stretch it. If you can invest more here, you're going to get a lot more out of the build, especially if you can get more spirit, because you can get more arsonists. We're not that far off another arsonist, about 25 spirit. That could easily be achieved on the scepter. So looking at the helmet, again, this is another piece that there's only one real must-have on this, and that's the plus level of all minion skills. The head is a really good piece for you to be balancing out your resistances, so you want to be looking at that, as well as life and mana, energy shield, all of those of course contributing to our maximum mana and therefore our overall health pool. You want to be looking for those skills on the helmet. Looking around to the shield, now this is another stretch piece. This is actually where I've invested the most single amounts of divines into the build. This was actually 4, which I thought was a bit of a steal. But you want to again be looking off to round off your resistances here, and as much to increase block chance, and that block chance number being as high as possible. The more block chance you get on your shield, the more money you're going to save yourself when it comes to investment into gems. Block chance fire res gems are really expensive, but the higher your block chance here, the less of those you need. Therefore, investing a bit in your shield, definitely worth it. You also want a high armor shield. That's going to start getting your fizz resistances up. If you can get life on it, that's great. If you can get strength on it, that's great as well. You need quite a lot of strength to carry a full armor shield, so you're going to want to be looking to get those stats somewhere. Shield's a fine place for it. Again, good place to balance out those resistances and those attributes that you need. Only really the block chance is the must-have here. On the neck, we're going with pretty standard neck. You want to be going for plus level of all minion skills. If you can't afford +3, then +2 will be fine. This is also another good place to round out a couple of resistances. If you can get increased armor and maximum energy shield, that's nice, but maximum energy shield, life, all of those things, building on a mana regen rate base, but you've got some optionality there. You could take the all attributes, you could take, well, really you can take what you need there. Mana regen rate will increase your sustain, so that's what I went there. For the delirium, I almost said for the blight. For the delirium, it's not going to let me say it. We have got it equipped with blade catcher. So that was some advice I got on my last build, and actually I'm very thankful for that advice. We defend with 200% of armor against critical hits. Critical hits no longer hurt, as well as giving us +15 strength, which gives us a good amount of HP, helping get more of that spirit, more of that mana through our Baydat's Gaze and Baydat's Will, and allowing us to spec some more of our other skills into intelligence, again further increasing that mana pool. So that's a pretty good enchant you can get there. Does cost about coming close to a divine. To get that enchant, you need you need one of the fear ones, I believe, which is the 8th tier of the deliriums. So, but worth getting. On the rings, these are quite expensive rings with a lot of the breach currency invested into them. But here I've prioritized going for increased mana regen rate. That really is part of the sustain, and it's the reason that we could change our belt. By getting 2 of these rings, each giving over 100% there, as well as giving a lot of mana with mana modifiers increased, that's helped us out. We managed to get our resistances sorted everywhere else, so I managed to pick up these rings quite cheap. They've got decent-ish mana and life modifiers on there, as well as the last bit of the lightning resistance that we wanted. They're not perfect, but it's that mana regen rate I was really looking for. Again, these are pieces that you could definitely upgrade, you could definitely get better here, but make sure you have got that mana regen rate. It's really going to help you out. On the chest, need spirit. The more spirit you can get, the better. You also want high armor, high energy shield. Resistances, try and round those off. We're lucky enough to get some chaos resistance on this one, which was good. Certainly not a perfect chest. That spirit roll is very low. Piece you can invest some more divines into, but something like this is perfectly sufficient. You should be able to pick up something like this relatively cheap. You're talking exalts, not divines. On the bracers, again, this is something you're talking exalts, not divines. It's a piece that could certainly be better, but it suits our needs of giving us chaos resistance and dexterity. We needed a bit of dexterity, we just get them from the bracers. As well as having a semi-decent mana roll. Again, you want to be looking for that armor energy shield. You want to be looking for that wherever you can, really. I haven't got it on the head, but it really does help with the physical resistance, with the way the tree goes, and with the neck enchant that we're using. On the belt, this is where you've got a bit of an optionality. I personally have opted for the less tanky route, but in my mind, this is more tanky when it comes to the higher keys, because the moments where you have problems in the higher keys and the higher waystones is when you get frozen, it's when you get stunned, and you can't deal with both of those using the belt that we were using. Where did I put that? Is it in the like tab, the and tab, or the subscribe? Oh, it's in the subscribe tab. It's not in the like or the and tab. Like and subscribe. Switch out from the rawhide belt, which was giving us 50% damage taken recouped as mana, which if you do take damage, refills you a lot. However, as you get into those higher keys, if you get stun locked, if you get freeze locked with only that one charm slot, then you will take so much damage in that time that it doesn't matter if you're recouping it, you will die. So actually, I found that switching over to a +2 charm slot belt, but you could do this with +1, and running both a immunity to freeze and an immunity to stun charm has prevented those unexpected deaths in the high tier of keys. This was a reasonably expensive belt, but again, you can do this with +1 charm slot. I went for greed and then took a golden charm as well for the extra item rarity. Lastly, looking at the boots, these are probably my next key bit to upgrade. Again, using these to round off attributes and resistances that you need. Movement speed is a must. If you can get 35, that's so much better than 25, believe me, especially when you're running heavy armor, because it slows you down. And you want to be looking for, again, for a mana, a life roll, something like that. Now let's have a look at more divines that we spend in the tree, and that is specifically at the skill gems. Now, as I said, this shield has saved us. This shield cost about 4 divines, but I believe it saved us about 8, and I'll show you why. So we picked up a couple of these Honor Splinter Rubies with the max fire res, block chance, and increased defenses from equipped shield. Now they're going with +2 and anything over 5% block chance at about... They're about 2 divines each. Keep in mind that shield was 4. And I've got 2 of them, and that rounds us off to block chance. If we had a 41-42% block chance shield here, then actually we would need to run 6 of those gems and both of these skill points here to hit block cap. So block cap is important, and if you do need to run the extra skill point, then I would suggest maybe... We'll talk about that in the skill section. I'll talk about some optionality. You've got probably drop minions, revive faster, and take that extra block chance to get block cap with the gems if you can't pick up a shield that allows you to do that without, but make sure you are getting that. On the other gems, they just have max fire res and increased defenses from equipped shield. Those are relatively cheap. You shouldn't be paying more than a handful of exalted for those, so the more of those you can pick up to round off your skill tree, the better. You can get them with minions, have additional physical damage reduction. That's just funny. Just grab that as well. People don't charge any extra for it. And that's the gear, guys. So let's move on to talking about the skills. Let us talk then about this skill tree. So there's been a few changes, but we'll go from the start. I wouldn't recommend building straight into this. You want to be doing a life start, otherwise you will have a tough time. But once you get to this stage in the game, I would suggest respecing to the following. We want to go up to Raw Destruction, and then Open Mind. We want to come up to Power of the Dead. We want to come up this way, come back down, get Living Death and Mana Blessing. We want to come up and grab the mana recovery rate and regen up here. That increases. Mana recovery rate is different from regen rate, and the mana recovery rate affects your flasks, and the Riku, the regen rate only affects regen. Mana recovery rate also affects regen, and it's multiplicative on top, so that's a very important one to get. It does actually give you quite a lot. I'm going to go up this way and grab Gravedigger, Necrotized Flesh, Relentless Fallen, and then path up to this gem node. Come up and grab Eldritch Battery, Raw Mana. You want to grab the maximum elemental resistances for your minions as well. I'd grab this Intellect. It's pretty good. Intelligence is pretty good. It's going to help you get level 20 skill gems. Unless you've got really lucky with int rolls on your gear, in which case you can sack this one off. But I want the Intelligence, so we've got that. Whispers of Doom, so that you can run both Flammability and Enfeeble. We will go into the skills in the next section. Keep coming around, grab the skill gems. As you get into the tier 16, so I'd push this one out for doing endgame, like tier 15 unjuiced maps, or without all of the Delirium and pushing them up with Corruption and all of that. However, once we're getting into the harder maps with the bosses having a lot more health, I'd really recommend going for Lust for Sacrifice. That 40% increased minion damage is absolutely massive on the bosses. Really makes a huge difference. It's another reason you should be running Flame Wall for bosses as well. That 3% damage that you get from that, and it is only 3%, but it makes a difference when you've got 10 million health damage to do, believe me. Anyway, keep going around, and we'll go up for Lord of Horrors for the reduced reservation. That's so we can fit in more Arsonists. Very good. Come back round here, grab Mind Over Matter, that's our primary defense, Mana is our shield, and all of that. We want to grab the Adverse Growth, because again, we want that damage taken recouped as mana. There's some nice mana regen nodes up here. We want the Vile Mending, that's to keep our minions alive. In tier 16s, the chaos damage does hurt them quite a lot, but that regenerate 3% life per second really is the main thing that you're going for there. It keeps them topped up and healthy. Down here, we want to be going for elemental resistances and area of effect. Just some strong minion nodes here. Make sure you grab them. Attack and cast speed, damage, good use of your points. Extra gem node here you can get. If you're going to be stretching levels beyond 92, I would recommend coming up to Mind Eraser, seeing as you've come this way anyway. Alternatively, you can grab a bit more damage up from Entropic Incarnation. That really is up to you. And furthermore, we'll come down this way towards the shield, because we're building a very big shield, but on the way we're going to grab all of these minion nodes for the life, the resistances, that gets them res capped, and the extra damage. It's a nice damage node there. Around here on the shield node, we're going to grab 30% increased block chance, but the reduced global defenses. That doesn't actually affect our energy shield. The energy shield gets converted to mana before that gets taken into effect, so that's good. It does affect our armor, but you're looking at losing maybe 4 or 5% fizz damage reduction. Definitely worth it to get block capped. And on the other side, 100% increased defenses from equipped shield. Kind of offsets pretty much that global defenses there, so it keeps us nice and stable. For our Ascendancy, you want to be grabbing your Loyal Hellhound. 20% of damage from hits is taken from the Hellhound's life before you. That pushes that tank really to the next level. We're going to be going to Altered Flesh. So if we look at the character screen for a second, although we've got low armor, 20% of the damage is being taken on Chaos, and we are Chaos resistance capped, as well as Cold and Lightning, 20% of that being converted to Fire. That's the reason you really, really want to be running these maximum fire resistance jewels, because it's going to reduce the damage. That 20% is going to be reduced by this 87%, and it gives you that extra layer of tank, and it really allows you to push into those higher levels without really having any concern. Furthering on from Altered Flesh, you want to be going down to Badat's Gaze and Badat's Will, reserving 25% of life and converting it to mana. You get a shitload of mana from that. It's really, really good. And Badat's Will give you a juicy amount of spirit. We've got 2,235 life, so if I can quick maths this, that's something like, I don't know, 80, 90 spirit, 91 spirit we're getting from Badat's Will. Someone can fact check me on that. I might have doubled the numbers, but I don't think I have. And similarly on mana, because this is per maximum life, this is not per reserved. When I first picked this up, I thought it was just from what you'd reserved, but no, it's for your actual maximum life. So getting life is really important to maximize these. But that's really how the skill tree works. It's very heavily on the defensive side, especially with the gems. You're looking really at your curses and your offerings to really boost your damage, particularly in those boss fights. But the arson is still enough damage just to be walking through the enemies anyway, which should lead us nicely onto our next section. Let's talk about these skill gems. So, skill gems. I'll preface this chapter by saying there is a link in the description of this video which will take you to a PoE for the skill tree if you wanted to check that out there. And there's also a bit of a write-up of these gems if you wanted to see them written down. I know this is a bit of a one to remember, but anyway, let's go through them from the top. So, We get Skeletal Warrior from our gem, and the main thing we've done with this is make it a bit of a support. It's applying debuffs to the enemy. So it's got Meat Shield, that's just so they last a bit longer. Blind, so it's blinding things, they don't hit us as often. Physical Mastery, because this was just knocking around and I had a spare slot. And Ruthless, making them cause more stun build-up. I'm going to swap these support gems around, because that's kind of the priority order. There was just a spare slot, so I slot in Physical Mastery. On Infernal Hounds, again, running a similar job to the Skeletal Warriors. We get this from our skill tree. We get 5 slots at level 90. And it's running very much a support role. So it breaks armor based on its physical damage. 30% of its damage is physical, I believe. It does fire exposure, so that decreases enemies' fire resistance. Once it ignites things, it ignites everything around it, so that's pretty good. It's got Maim. What does Maim do? Maim reduces their evasion rating, so everything else is hitting more often, as well as making them move slower, so if we need to get away, we can. And it's got Culling Strike, so it's got a chance just of outright killing. Well, if it hits anything below 35% health, it will kill them, and that's percentage scales down as we go up, and the cat just jumped right into my elbow as I was gesticulating with my hand. But cat has arrived. Here is a tail, see, and it just went past because it was in my hand. But there we go. And the last one I've taken, and this is a bit more of a feeling one. I think it's thematic and cool, and I couldn't think of another gem to put in here. But I put in Fiery Death, so anything ignited by them has a 60% chance of exploding on death. I think it's cool, so I took it. Could probably swap this out for something else. That's definitely more of a feeling gem. Next up, we've got Pain Offering. So only need 3 gems in this one. We've gone for Expanse for more area of effect. It has a 6-second cooldown, but it lasts for much longer than 6 seconds anyway, and you can't cast it while it's already up, so it doesn't really matter unless you whiff the cast and miss where you're casting it, which actually I do a lot. I put Elemental Army in here for the elemental resistances. I think honestly you could probably swap that out for something else. And resistance, supported skills have 40% more skill effect duration, so these things last for quite a long time. Next up, we've got Raging Spirits, and you only need to take this to a 4 gem. They're some of your damage, but they're not that much of your damage. Most of it's the Arsonists. But for this, we've got Feeding Frenzy, because we don't care about much health they've got. They don't last very long anyway. Fire Mastery for more levels. Minion Mastery for more levels. And Primal Armament, dealing 25% more weapon elemental damage. Most of their damage is elemental. 70% of it, so that's a nice damage increase for them. Then we've got Fireball. I use this during map clear because I like the visibility over Firewall, but this is definitely more of a feeling skill. Firewall is optimal. Firewall will give you more damage. Fireball, I believe, gives you more sustain and more chance of surviving your maps because you can see what the bloody hell is going on, so I prefer it. You can debate me on that one in the comments if you like. I will lose the debate because numbers beat everything. But anyway, I've got cast speed in this, less cost in this, and less movement penalty because this is the one I'm spam casting around maps. If you want to use Firewall for the optimization, just put Firewall in place of Fireball and use 3 gems. It's those 3 gems that are important. Next up, we've got Flammability. So this is our main curse for increasing damage taken on the enemy. I've got Ritualistic Cursed for more area of effect. I think that's good. And then Reduced Delay to offset the increased delay of Ritualistic Curse. Heightened Curse for more effect. I think reducing the enemy's resistances is very, very strong. Although you could, in theory, put this one into Enfeeble if you wanted to keep yourself a bit healthier. I don't think it's necessary. I think stripping the enemy's resistance is more important. And lastly, I've got Cursed Ground. This is, again, a bit more of a feeling skill. I like to have it on the Flammability so that enemies walking into it take more damage. I can give and take the Enfeeble. That's more there for elites and bosses more than it is for just clearing. So Cursed Ground on Flammability for me feels the best. Next up, we've got the Arsonists. These are our main damage abilities. You do want to be getting these to 5 slot, investing those Divines, or using your own Perfect Jeweler's Orb on the Skeleton Arsonists, or even Voweling up from a Greater is definitely going to be worth it. But in order of priority, you want Scatter Shot, Martial Tempo, Fire Infusion, Immolate, and Fire Penetration. You want these guys killing bosses fast in the later keys, so you can let go of the extra area of effect and make sure that they are doing the most single target damage that they can. Some of the boss fights are absolutely gnarly. Next up, we've got the Clerics. They're actually not in use on this build because I don't have enough Spirit, but if you do get enough Spirit, run them with Last Gasp because they like to hit things with their mace, and run them with Ingenuity as well because they just resurrect a little bit faster. Next up, we've got our second support curse. So this is Enfeebled. This is the defensive curse. You want this with 3 slots, really. I like to run it with Magnified Effect, seeing as I'm not using it anywhere else. More area of effect means more enemies get hit by it. Hex Bloom, and this is again a feeling. You can swap Hex Bloom and Cursed Ground around, but basically when you kill something that's got Enfeeble on it, it will spread to something else, and that's fine. whichever one you think's best working in your offense defense is fine there. And Arcane Surge because it had a spare slot, and I like to occasionally get the mana regen, but it's completely optional, definitely a feeling one, you don't need it. On Bone Offering, we're running with Font of Blood and Font of Mana. I mostly cast this during boss fights for the extra 40% damage from our skill tree. It's fine. It's just, don't cast it too much. It just ends up using too much of your mana. Just use it for elites for the extra damage. And Cat is back. You can see Tail this time. This means she's probably hungry. Last up, I've got Flame Wall equipped. I do use it for elites and bosses where they've got too much health. The increased damage is nice. Again, personal preference between running Flame Wall and Fireball. Flame Wall is definitely the higher DPS. I have it run with Fortress because putting the circle round to the boss means that wherever the arsonist is, 0 out of 10. 0. Get to the dunce corner. Wherever the arsonists are, they can hit the boss with their grenades. And get that bonus from the flame wall. That's how we run that, and that's the skill gem setup. Couple of things you can change there, couple of feeling things, but for the most part, this is going to get you the solid DPS you need to clear those Citadel bosses that are juiced up and to clear those end map bosses that are juiced up. Speaking of, let's take a little look at the Atlas and how we've got that set up to really juice our keys and make the most out of how we've stretched this build. Atlas tree. I'm going to stick myself back over here in the old... I'm going to stick myself over here because otherwise I'm in the way of bits we need to see. So we've got this Atlas tree now set up for really, really juicing our waystones as much as we can. And let's talk about how we're doing that. For the first part, we're going Lucky Pillage, right? Everyone loves quantity and rarity. We're getting the increased quantity of waystones on the way. Fine. We're not looking at maximizing our waystone drops now. We're killing so many enemies and the bosses are so high level that we're just sustaining waystones. We don't need to spec into that. We're going around for unstable energies. The extra prefix or suffix modifiers either give us lots more quantity, lots more rarity. It's really just increasing whatever we've got on those maps. It's great. So we want to grab that. We've come up off the top here and we've gone for Teeming Horde for more monster packs, and then we've come around for Corrupted Infusion. So this can go one of two ways. You can have your tier 16 map ready to go, +2. This isn't foreshadowing or anything like that. And you're going, yeah, this could be a tier 83 map because it could go from tier 16 to tier 17, but it could also go from tier 16 back to tier 15 or tier 15 to 14. It really goes both ways, Corrupted Infusion, but it adds some spice to the maps. And can't really know what you're going to expect, so the build has to be able to handle pretty much anything to run this account, so that's fine. Down this side we're going for rare monsters and 1 extra rare monsters, just 4 rare monsters. Down here we're going for the magic and increased magic, and then we're actually getting the last keystone, so we're making all those rare and unique monsters stronger for even more drops. For our extra point we grab the extra quantity of waystones. It's nice to get waystones, although I've got almost 2 full tabs full of them now, all level 11 plus, most of them level 16, so you really don't need the quantity at this stage. By the time you got to this point as well, you've probably killed your 4 bosses, and if you're luckier than me, you've got all of your Citadel key pieces or just purchased them, and you've probably got all of the points here. But for this, you want to go for increased quantity, 25% chance to drop a waystone. You don't have a choice there. I like Essence, but pick whichever one of these you want. They're all the same. If you like Shrines, get Shrines. If you like Strong Boxes, get Strong Boxes. I think Strong Boxes are too slow, and I like the guaranteed Elite that comes from the Essences, so grab Essences. Then you have to take map bosses are irradiated. I believe this is still bugged at the moment, and when the irradiation gets placed, it's not actually being taken into effect when you run the maps, which is slightly annoying. Hopefully that gets fixed really soon, because that's a really annoying bug. If you have got your last point, I would actually suggest going down to Corruption, but I don't know whether that's also bugged. If that's bugged, then just take the experience for now. But that's how we've got the Atlas set up for sort of maximizing the difficulty and therefore maximizing the reward that we're going to get from the maps. Now that we've gone over that, let's showcase this thing in what should have been at least a tier 82 map, but thank you, Corruption. Let's see what this build can do then in a tier 16. Now the key isn't as spicy as it could be. It's just attack speed, movement speed. We've got Enfeeble. It's just what the Corruption did to it, unfortunately. I haven't put any Delirium on it because there's a Delirium mirror in the woodland, and if you put Delirium on your key, it cancels out the Delirium mirror. But we've got 6 mods here, and it's a +2, so this will be a eye level 82 run, possibly 83 if it corrupts. If it goes down to 81, I'm going to be pretty sad. It's got an Expedition, Delirium, and Ritual in it. The Ritual could be kind of scary, but we'll see what we can do. And yeah, we should be able to tank everything. I hope. Let's find out. So we're gonna go through the mirror, and then it's all gonna get very scary immediately. First Illyrian reward received. We're probably gonna have to use. So we're not using the super Healy belt anymore, as you saw. That means if we do take damage, we need to run and recover. But we have so much. We have so much base mana regen. It really doesn't matter. That was. Oh, we've got Omniphobia here as well. Good. So we get to fight a proper boss. Now, this isn't the fastest clear. It's not doing full screen explosions like the monk does, but it's stable. It's safe. You've got minions to hide behind as a bit of a shield, which is nice. If you do get hit, as we just did, by a boss there, you saw that was not really very much. Get both spikes up, and that will get our damage through the roof. As long as I focus on him, and he's done. I think he only has about 1 million health. The actual end boss of this map should have a lot more. We still don't want to get hit by elites. Physical damage is some concern. We've got about 50% reduction when you consider what we're taking over to... Oh, okay. Thanks for ending that quickly. Damn it. Some of the maps just seem really poorly designed for Delirium. Is what it is. The Delirium's over. We've still got rituals. We've still got expeditions. I don't think we got anything good there. No. We got no good rewards, but that's okay. One of those things. Oh, it did go down. It went down to a tier 15. It's monster level 81. That's 2 monster level, yeah. Ah, lame. Damn it. The time really open it'd go up. I've got the double corrupt equipped on the Atlas, and sometimes it goes down. But still, I mean, tier 51. I mean, tier 81. Still high level. We'll still get good loot. Shame it went down to a tier, back down to a tier 15 though. Can go up to a tier 17. So I've been running the double corruption, trying to hit those really juicy keys because I've really found the build has literally no fear. So long as you're not standing still. I mean, I wouldn't want to stand in that tornado, right? That's a clear thing you don't want to stand in. There's things like that, and that's again why I'm running Fireball. I have got Fireball. There it is. I've just put one down just so you guys can see that I sometimes remember to press the button in tight spaces. Just ate a load of Chaos Flowers there. Wasn't really a problem. With the mana potion we've got, just tap it a couple of times and you're back up to full health anyway. The Precursor tablet, very nice. And if you think you're going to get into a protracted fight, just stick down the offerings. Give you guys like an extra 40% damage. I found that damage is really important come the higher levels, especially come the boss fights. The boss fights can go on for a little while, and having any multipliers on damage that can reduce that is good. Either that or you have to run more tank, right? And if things are dead, they can't hurt you, so. How many rituals have we got? We've got 4 rituals in this particular place, so we'll have to go and hunt those down. Here's another one. I'm really sad this one. I was really hoping this one would get bumped up to an 83 with the 6 modifiers. Corruption giveth and corruption taketh away, guys. That's happened to me a couple of times now when I've run T16 maps. I'm thinking about turning it off, but when the double corrupt does happen and it hits well, it's really good. What are those sandals? I've never seen those before. Luminous pace. Oh look, there's some sandals for twinking your starting characters that actually have movement speed on them. Let's go this way. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't some hidden elite there. The elites can be sneaky. They hide around the place. Sneaky elites. Yeah, so Firewall really comes into its play on the actual bosses itself. I don't find it particularly useful around the maps. There's too many enemy things going on. I just don't like cluttering the floor. It's the same on the boss fights, really, but you can't deny the DPS gain when the boss is standing for more than 3 seconds, you know? Some rope cuffs, lovely. I'll take those right to the bedroom. I can think of some great activities to do with those. Can have a good time. Also, I'd like to fit Blink onto this build, but you'd need to invest quite a bit more into the Spirit. I think you could fit it off from the chest, but you probably have to sacrifice 1 Arsonist. I'm not sure if it's worth it. So I do find the dodge roll quite useful. But you can see we're just standing amongst things getting rolled into. The block chance really does keep you safe. And if things do get through the block, it's okay. We're running the belt that stops us getting stunned, so Again, there's no freeze. There's nothing that can just stop our character from being able to at least react, even if it's at a slow speed. You can also run the slow charm. I personally am running the charm to give us more rarity because greedy. I want more divines, I want more exalts, I want all the loot. So running one of those. But you could easily run it even more defense and get rid of slow. But slow happens quite a lot, and I don't think the charm would cover it reliably. Not like it does with freeze or with stun, so I just don't see the need. I'm tempted to buy these silly sandals. Let's go do the last thing. Maybe we'll have loads of tribute, and then we can do a little re-roll. I've got divine sitting in there somewhere. Boss? Oh, silly alcove. But see the amount of magic and rare monsters. Quite a few with the Atlas set up like this. Yeah, we can just go stand amongst them. It doesn't matter. The smaller enemies really can't do much. Apart from trap you. They can trap you. If you get trapped on this character, things can go a bit wrong. But I think that's kind of the same on any character, really. Blink would solve that. Let's go set this guy up his cage. Can use the firewall. Hold this up. And yeah. Really just slaughters everything. Really good. If it had +2 levels though, obviously things might have been going a little slower. Even +1 level, it's a tiny bit slower, but not much. The boss should still have about 5.5 million health, so we can do a little bit of a DPS check there. I don't think it's the highest DPS, but again, it's about stability. It's about being able just to push through keys, push through waystones, and do the content you want to do. Farm some currency as well. It's good at farming currency. Well, it's okay. Because it has good map sustain, because it doesn't die very often. You know, at least get everything out of the map. There we go. Took a bit of damage there. Got hit by a couple of big guys, but mana's staying perfectly stable, even with just 20% recoup. Now, I know that is 2.5 times our recoup that's gone there, but I really think it gets to a point with this build where you've got enough mana regenerated. It's just that it doesn't matter. The mana's back. We got hit. It doesn't matter. If you get a really big hit, you're going to be drinking your flask anyway. And if you're getting really big hits often, then you're doing something wrong. You're not reacting to things you need to react to, right? Yeah, this isn't a 90% armor convert all damage to fizz thing going on here. A standard affordable build, building this on probably no more than about 15 divines, and that's if you're unlucky and don't shop around and don't wait for bargains. There's plenty of this gear coming up on the market. It's a really popular build. So just this is the 4th ritual, by the way. Got stuck in the tornado in a bunch of monsters. They were all hitting us. Most of it was getting blocked. Really not a problem. Very, very, very tanky build. Right, let's do a reroll. At least we get an exalt, eh? Tasty, yummy exalt. Any good rares? No, it's got lots of different funny coloured numbers. You are no good. In that case, we'll just grab the blue currency as to not waste our hard-earned resources. Now, this is a really tight... It's a really tight-looking... Should have picked that up after I set the things. A tight-looking expedition, which is good, so... We'll start at the end, this end, and then just work our way past. There's a bunch of runic markers here. Should be good. So... Can't quite start as far up that end as I want. Okay. Go there. Many runic markers as we can get. That was the wrong button. I'll be able to get round to this one. Just, okay. Be a little rough. Be a little spicy. Little sort of runic monster spawn. Oh god, we've got demons. There's demons coming. There's demons coming. I'm killing too many things close together. Corruption Expedition can get spicy. Depending on what sort of demons spawn. But there we go. I think that's the expedition cleared. Not a problem. Plenty of runic monsters there. Plenty of artifacts. That's just free money. That's free real estate, guys. Right there. Sell these up at Alva. Have a good time. We got about, maybe an X. Oh, what? Have we got 2 bosses in this place? Well, well, well. Time for a bit of Team Rocket double trouble, by the looks of it. Have a nice swig of tea. Oh. You took off a whole 600 mana, sir. Oh my god, there's 2 bosses. Right. Guess this is what got duplicated in this run, then. So we'll get the... Ooh. 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 I'm just lagging. If I die, it's because of lag, guys. Try and put some flame walls down. We've got one of them's doing lightning storms, one of them's unleashing ice. Well. Bloody hell. Don't freeze. Oh, no, we can't be frozen. Well, I guess this is a decent showcase, considering it didn't go to tier. Seems it went down a tier. At least we got these 2 bloody bosses at once, both doing physical damage, which is our weakest ability. Ooh. And there's the loot, guys. There it is. I've never had 2 bosses spawn before. I didn't even know that could happen. Oh. Go away, sturdy crossbow and helm and sabatons and siphoning wand and flask, and the rest of you can stay. You're all good stuff. So pick up all of this. We'll loot all of this. Grab all of these currencies. Lovely, yummy. Can't wait till we can make a better item filter. We'll grab the expert shaman mantle. That could craft into something good. Don't think there's anything else here that's good, but someone's probably going to tell me I missed out on a really good base. And that is the showcase of this build. It's really good. It's solid. It's solid. With just, and it's sort of average investment, I would say, to get it this good, this stable. I think it's one that could go to 100. I'm certainly going to be tinkering away on it for a little bit. Monks, although I definitely want to try a monk build. Some of the clear on the monk build looks crazy. So, hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one.